Thank you so much for coming in, Ms. Phillips. How are you?
Good.
All right, thank you. Please have a seat. All right, so you're here to interview for the position here at Target as an executive team leader. So let's get started. Why do you want to work at Target?
I like the customer service at Target when I come to shop, and it makes it a great environment to be in, so I want to be in that environment.
All right, cool. How do you handle conflict with another coworker? Could you give an example, please?
Once when I was working at a cafeteria with about 30 other people each shift, a girl walked in late, and I was the supervisor for the day, so I had to write her up late, and I don't think she was too happy about it, but I handled it in a civilized manner, and I think she respected that.
All right, great. Can you tell me about your strengths and your weaknesses?
A weakness of mine is staying up late, and so sometimes I don't get enough sleep to run on for the next day. But, yeah. And then a strength is I'm pretty patient with other people, and I'm on time to work.
All right, thank you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Graduated from college with a bachelor's degree, and hopefully working as a dietitian.
Great. Could you tell me about a time when you had to motivate others?
There was a time when I was in choir and theater in high school, and so a lot of the time we had to motivate each other before we went on stage so we could do a good job.
Cool. Tell me about a time you had to change your leadership style.
There was a time when I was living with 5 other girls, and a couple of our roommates were leaving the lights on. A lot of the times our electricity bill was up, and so I kind of had to go from being more of a quiet girl to having more of a voice with them and saying, hey, could you turn the lights off more often, kind of in a kind manner, and just kind of be more.
Great.
Yeah.
Tell me about a time you had to give someone feedback.
There was a time, again, when I was working in the cafeteria, and I was over about 25 other people, and a girl came up to me and said that the others weren't vacuuming, and she was the only one vacuuming, and it's a pretty big place. And so at the end of the shift at our employee meeting, I kind of just had to say, hey, could you do your work next time and not just leave it for one girl to do, and kind of fix that issue.
All right, thank you. Tell me about a time when your skill set was challenged.
There was a time when I was working in a dish room, and there weren't as many people eating there at one time, and I had another employee working with me on just the silverware. And it takes a while, but when there's 2 people doing it, it's a lot faster, and that's kind of how I learned. And then the next time I did it, there were more people, and it was just me working, and so I kind of had to up my speed and the way I was doing things. So that challenged for sure.
All right. Tell me about a time when you had to make a difficult decision with little or no time at all.
There was a time when I had to decide which college to go to, and I kind of just went with my gut and went where I wanted to go, and I worked really hard for it. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Final question, why are you a great fit for Target?
I think I'm a great fit because I'm pretty responsible, and I've had lots of experience with leadership in high school and in the work field now, and I've learned a lot from that, so I think I could do a good job.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Mr. Phillips. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Why Target? Why are you interviewing for this position as executive team leader?
Well, Target has, in my mind, a great reputation when it comes to customer service and all that kind of good stuff. So I'd really like to be a part of your team because of your good reputation.
Okay, thank you. How do you handle conflict with another coworker? And give an example if you could.
Well, when I was a senior in high school, I was the choir president at my high school. And so I was constantly dealing with a bunch of conflicts from, a bunch of other high school students, and so when I had to resolve that issue, I would just simply get straight to the point. I would talk with that person face to face and you know, just simply resolve the issue as best I could before it got into anything bigger.
Okay.
So.
Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses.
Let's start with my weaknesses. I'm not really that creative, but I always manage to get things done. Another weakness I have is I've never had a job before, so my lack of experience in the workplace is kind of a weakness. But at the same time, not really, because I've had a lot of leadership positions in a bunch of other activities. Like I said, I was the choir president at my high school. I've been in leadership positions at my church, so I definitely know how to handle situations and work with a team. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself with a bachelor's degree for music education, and I want to be a choir director. So.
Tell me about a time when you had to motivate others.
Well, like I said, I was the choir president at my high school, and so there was a period of time in the year where a bunch of the other officers on the officer board were discouraged because of some of the attitudes with other people in choir, and so they didn't really know where to go from there, and so I kind of just had to remind them of who they were and that they were an example for our choir program, that they had to you know, be the role models and be the people doing what they were supposed to do. And so I think by redefining for them their identity in our choir program, I think it helped motivate them.
Okay. Tell me about a time you had to change your leadership style.
Well, there was a time when I held a position at my church, and in my quorum, we would go and take the sacrament to an elderly woman in our congregation who couldn't make it to church, and so it was a weekly thing. And there was this one point in time where the other boys in the quorum just didn't really care about doing it every week anymore, and so I kind of had to change my leadership style by, you know, being a little more forward with them, that we had to get this thing done. It was the right thing to do, but, you know, at the same time, do it in a polite manner.
Okay. Tell me about a time you had to give feedback to someone.
When I had to give feedback to someone, oh, well, there was this one time in another one of my choir officer meetings when we were just, we planned a lot of activities for the choir, and so we were just kicking around ideas of what we could do for like a Christmas party or something, and so there were a lot of ideas going around the room. Some of them were good ideas, some of them were not so good ideas, and so as the position that I held, I kind of had to give feedback on, you know, what was a good thing, what was not such a good thing, and eventually we made a decision on what we were going to do.
Okay. Tell me about a time when your skill set was challenged.
My skill set was challenged. Well, you know, being choir president kind of has a lot of responsibilities, and so I was constantly challenged throughout the year with what I had to do, with just various things. And but how I overcame that was there's nothing wrong with teamwork. You know, this position that I'm applying for is to be a team leader. I mean, just because I'm the leader of the team doesn't mean I'm not still part of the team. So I don't feel that it's a bad thing to rely on my other coworkers because I'm still part of the team, and so as long as we get it done, and I kind of hold my composure a little bit, I feel like that's a good thing, and I can overcome that challenge in my skill set.
Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to make a difficult decision with little or no time.
Well, when I was in the youth program at my church, we had activities weekly, and not everything that was planned didn't always follow through. And so, as one of the leaders in my church, or in my youth program at my church, I had to come up with a last-minute activity, but, you know, still have them still allow the youth to have fun. And so that was kind of difficult sometimes because, you know, I didn't know what to do at all, but, you know, I had to kind of keep my composure and figure out something to do.
Okay.
So.
And why are you a great fit for Target?
I think I'm a great fit for Target because of my experience of being a leader. Maybe not necessarily in the workplace, but in other things. And I feel like I'm easily cooperable, so I can cooperate with others pretty well. And in the end, I always get my work done. So.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.